Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm at Riverside Lumber and I have a really cool story to share with you. This is really special to me. This is where I get all my wood for my knife handles. So follow me in and I'm gonna share a really cool story with you about Riverside Lumber. All right guys, right now I'm doing a quick walkthrough of Riverside Lumber. This massive space has a ton of exotic wood and live edge options, cypress, all sorts of woods. Stay tuned because I'm about to sit down with Charles Hayden and he's going to share the rich history of Riverside Lumber. We're at Riverside Lumber and I am with
Charles Hayden. I'm the fourth generation here at Riverside Lumber.
So this is really cool, guys, and I'm happy to share this with you. This is where I get all of my wood for my knife handles. And I've known Charles and his younger brother Martin and his father Bruce for a long time now. So this is a long time coming, but I'm here to share the family history and how you guys got started. So if you wouldn't mind, Charles, man, just kind of, you know,
Over the history
from the beginning, man. So how did your family get started in all this?
Yeah, so my great-great-grandfather, Harry Hayden, he came down here from Chicago in the early 1900s, and he built a big yacht that he brought down here, and he bought a resort that was existing in Madisonville at the time, right where Beauchene Estates is currently. And he bought the resort, and he used the sailing yacht to ferry people from the South Shore to the North Shore. It was kind of just a resort vacation. And then that business kind of fell through, and he bought a property on the Chifuncta River, Fairview Riverside State Park, and he was a postmaster of Holtonville, because this was before there was Mandeville. It was Holtonville, and so there was a lumber mill on site there that he didn't really necessarily plan on using. He was the postmaster, but his son Thomas Hayden, he grew up on the property, and they had all the milling equipment there, and so eventually he got into the cypress logging industry, and that's how we started on the Chifuncta River.
So for you guys that don't know, and I'll put a map in here, so Fairview is actually a state park now, and it's right on the Chifuncta River on the North Shore of Louisiana, right across the river from Madisonville, Louisiana. So Fairview State Park, like the actual house that is on the grounds.
So my grandfather was born in that house, so you can
that's crazy.
Museum now, you can go there, and you can go camping at Fairview too.
Early operations, so you said they had a full mill there.
Yeah, and it was cypress logs back then, just cypress. And so we had a bunch of land in Manchac where we were harvesting all the cypress logs from, and they'd bring them to the mill on Chifuncta right there and mill them right there.
So it's not really that far of a trip. So like from his house at Fairview, they would go down the Chifuncta, head out into the lake, and just take a right. So head west, and then
that little bayou area, middle bayou, to get to in the Manchac region. And back then there was a lot of land. And that was before there was all the saltwater intrusion that was created by all these canals and shipping lanes that got built eventually.
And I'm sure there was just a ton of cypress out there.
Oh yeah, there's tons of cypress. Yeah.
So they're in the Manchac area. They're harvesting the cypress. And what are they on? Like a barge, a tugboat?
It was interesting. They built a floating sawmill, which was basically like a big barge with a sawmill on top of it.
That's cool.
And so they would bring that into the swamp for 2 or 3 weeks at a time.
So they would camp out there.
Yeah.
That's rough living.
In the swamp, And they would mill the logs to rough sizes so that they could put them in stacks, and they'd build a raft essentially of cypress logs that were tied together.
Yeah.
And then they'd float that back to the mill.
Wow. So now, once the cypress logs that they harvest get back, they would bring them back to Fairview?
Yeah.
And then from Fairview, what are you doing with the cypress?
So they're milling them into the boards that are usable, to be sold.
And then
retail market.
did early on, did they have clients, or was it sort of like, hey, we're gonna go just get all this cypress, mill it, and then like, hey, like, where did they go with the cypress? Did they mill it and then say, hey, like, this is for sale, or did they have...
No, it was sold right on the property, right?
Yeah.
There. Yeah, you come right to the,
So it was in high demand back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And were people building homes with this cypress? Or
mostly homes. Yeah.
Yeah.
People were building homes and using it for framing and just for interior trim work, building boats because it was obviously before fiberglass, and so
right.
people were building a ton of wooden boats. So a lot of the elements and all the wooden boats were cypress.
Right.
So. That was a huge business back then. A lot of boat building.
Cypress boats.
Cypress boats. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
You don't
pirogues, skiffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't really see many of those anymore, huh? Cypress boats.
No, not with the fiberglass.
Yeah, right. So this is your great grandfather, correct?
My great grandfather. Yeah.
All right. So his son.
Yeah.
So how many?
Thomas Jr. Yeah.
Thomas Jr.
Yeah.
So then he's in the family. He takes over the business and
yeah. So we moved from Riverside State Park in the 30s, late 30s, and I'm not sure exactly why the land got sold. Something didn't work out, and we bought property on Bayou St. John, right on Mall Street, which is located. Right where they have that juvenile detention center now, in between there and the interstate.
Okay.
And so we moved there in the late 30s, my great grandfather was still running the business, but that's when my grandfather started to get into the business.
So grandfather, his father, still running the business. They're on Bayou St. John now. So I'd imagine they'd have to take.
They're doing the same thing.
A
with
little
the
more
logs.
of a trek, right?
They're doing the same thing with the logs. Yeah, they're going to Manchac, getting them, and then bringing them up the bayou now, up Bayou St. John.
So they'd leave Bayou St. John, enter Lake Pontchartrain, head back out to Manchac.
Yeah.
And was Manchac, that was their main spot to harvest cypress?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Manchac is Springfield area. Yeah.
Okay. So now, once they bring the cypress back to Bayou St. John, then are they bringing that down river? Like, are they going to the quarter? Are they shipping that down the Mississippi now? Where is this wood going?
So people are coming to the lumberyard and mostly buying it from there.
So it's sort of been the same business model.
The same thing except different place.
Yeah. So when does the family move from the Bayou St. John location? How long are you guys there?
So we're there from in the late 30s, mid 30s to 1968 when the interstate came through.
Oh,
the interstate came right, the interstate right through City Park, right to the bayou right there.
Right.
And the government said you got to go.
Really? So that interstate sort of messed things up.
And that's when we moved to our current location.
And where are you guys located now?
New Orleans East, 5451 Morrison Road. Yeah.
Cool. So can you kind of walk me through, and we'll walk and talk.
Yeah.
So you can see behind Charles, this is just one portion of the warehouse. How
Lots of hardwoods, domestic hardwoods.
How big of a space do you guys have currently?
I don't know how big this footprint is here, square footage wise. It's big.
Yeah, but you'll see. We'll walk through.
It's maybe, I don't know what, 8,000 square feet maybe in here.
Yeah, it's massive.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's really big. So we're gonna walk and talk, man. We'll just kind of see everything that they have going on here. So over here to my right, what are we looking at here?
I'd say this is kind of a live edge area, some live edge slabs.
And this is all cypress, right?
No, not all of it. This is sinker cypress. This is some like spalted oak and maple live edge material. So it's an assortment.
So when you say live edge, can you explain what that means?
Yeah, so it's just the part of the log that has the bark on it, or where the bark was.
Right.
And so it provides that kind of natural edge to the wood.
So like this cool, like it's kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. Like it looks like kind of holy. It's like the piece that was like exposed to the elements.
Yeah, the outside of the tree.
Yeah.
And which previously for the longest time it got discarded. It wasn't it wasn't something that people were doing, and then it became kind of an architectural thing and
Yeah.
a design element that people were looking for.
So it looks really cool, like on bars and shelves,
and
bookcases.
there was a Japanese furniture maker. I forget his name, but he was the one that really made it big.
Made
like
it
in the 50s
popular.
Or 60s,
Yeah. So we were talking about this machine over here earlier, and this is just crazy. And I want to show you the saw blade on this. Look how big this saw blade is.
It's big. It's big.
That's my hand. Look how big that blade is. So Charles,
early 20th century, I think early 1900s.
So this is a PB Yates Machine Company out of Wisconsin. And you said, what year is this?
1902, I think, was when it was built.
I'm gonna get over here so the light can see, but you can see this is a really old, just what would you call this?
It's a bandsaw.
A bandsaw. Look at this bandsaw. This is crazy.
We were using it right up until Katrina.
So
2-3 days before Katrina, we were using it.
Yeah. So Hurricane
great.
Katrina, these guys were actually cutting wood on this cool old bandsaw, and that's where the wood goes in. And then how is it powered, Charles?
So I think it just ran on. I'm not even really sure. It's been such a long time since we ran it. I don't think it was electric. Maybe diesel.
It's really cool.
You can ask my dad later. Maybe he might know.
So you can see over here, ton of more wood. So now we're gonna walk over to the other warehouse, and this is it's gonna be kind of loud over there. So this is where all the wooden lathes are, molders, and they're all CNC ran, Charles, is that right now?
It's not necessarily really a CNC. The molders are like a CNC machine, but it's not quite as automated as that.
I want to first check out this
This
old dugout canoe here.
Yeah, so this came from the Amazon, and my great grandfather. He traded. He had an old birch bark canoe, and he traded this with one of his ship captain buddies that was going, back and forth between New Orleans and South America.
Wow.
And he got this one, and there's another larger one that he actually had. Nobody really knows what happened to it. We think it probably sank in Bayou St. John. Maybe someone tried to take it out one night or something.
Yeah.
So
just sank right to
the
the
other
bottom.
one could be in the bayou somewhere,
That's really cool. Look at that.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, if you want to go show us, I know there's some wooden lathes back there.
And it's kind of like a little workshop area where we, kind of build stuff that we need for we're building some shelving for display, just over inventory. Here's a lathe that we use. We make custom rosettes to match all, these existing stuff they have all, these older homes in New Orleans.
Really cool. So you basically, you're putting the wood in here and it secures here, and then you're kind of just using different tools to turn on the wood.
Right, yeah, there's different knives that make the different profiles. Yeah. Each of them have their own kind of, each profile on there, and that's how we make them. They've got all 1,000 different styles of these bullseyes.
Yeah.
And sometimes, people have these older homes they're renovating, they need to match, they want to match what they have existing, or they do an addition and they want to make them exactly the same as what they have.
Cool,
already.
man.
So,
Yeah, let's go check out these machines over there.
And so this is our planer, yeah, it's got two heads. It's got a top head over here and a bottom head over here, and so it can surface both sides at one time.
And you're putting the wood in over here,
yeah,
and then it comes out on the other end.
Yeah, and this is just like a computerized kind of digital readout where you put in the thickness of the wood, and then yeah, just mills it to whatever you want.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then what is this pentwood machine we have over here?
That's a molder.
A molder?
Yeah. Marty's opening it up right now, so you can see inside of it. So yeah, these are all the places where you put all the heads. So you have all the different profiles.
And what does that exactly do? The head on there? It just.
You also, it's easier if I show you over here. Probably. So this is our knife room in here where we make all the custom knives. And so these are all the custom blades that we created since Katrina, basically. And
okay. So it puts this formation on there.
Right. So you cut these knives that you put in these different heads right here, and these insert onto spindles in the machine, and these spin at 5,000 RPMs, and they mold the profile out.
So if I come to you and I say, hey, I have this piece of walnut, or I get a piece of walnut from you, yeah, and you want this, I say, hey, I want that
fluid kind of casing pattern walnut.
And what would this be used for, like crown molding or something?
No, mostly casing, door casing.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
And
then you have just a ton of these in here, right?
Yeah.
And then once you make the mold, you just always keep it with...
We keep it here. We keep it here labeled. So, if the customer needs the same profile again, we can run it. And then, but we have a lot of people that, are trying to match stuff. And, they come here, like, that's close enough to what I have that I'll use that.
Right.
Because it is kind of expensive to make the custom blade.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have all these options here, because a lot of times, the customers
get the same stuff.
Satisfied with what we have already. Yeah. It's close enough to what they have. Sometimes it's exact,
yeah,
every once in a while. So yeah, this is the knife room is the grinder, and so first what we do is we make these plastic templates that you see with the knives right here, and then. And the grinder is basically like a key machine. And so you put the template on there, and then you trace out the piece of steel,
to make your design.
Yeah. So it's a key machine for knife making.
And so how do you actually get the design on here? Like how do you? I mean, what this is, yeah. But if I come to you and say, hey, I want this. Imagine we're beginning from.
But people bring in a sample; they have a piece.
And then, how do you actually get that design on this?
So if we make this template first, and then you insert the piece of steel onto here, and so here's the template that you trace, and you trace the piece of, you basically trace it on there. Wow. From the template.
Gotcha.
And you just grind it until you get it to the,
Right.
And so we make usually 2 knives per head.
So I'd imagine someone doing this, trying to learn this machine, it's going to be somewhat of a learning curve.
Oh yeah, it's a learning curve. This is the difficult part.
Yeah.
Actually once you know how to run the molding machines, it's just kind of like setting it up, putting the knives in there, setting the heads, and just getting a little trial and error to make sure everything's adjusted right.
Right.
But yeah, this is what probably the most difficult part is actually grinding the knives. You have to kind of have a knack for it.
Yeah. So rewind a little bit, man. Last time I was here, you had a really cool big piece of sinker cypress, and it had an H carved into it. Do we know where that is? Can we?
We're gonna find it.
We'll find that. Yeah,
we're gonna find it. So you saw that the old bandsaw that man. This is kind of our new bandsaw. So it's a lot different from that the older one with that giant blade. So the other one had a huge blade that ran vertically. This one was horizontally. but it essentially does the same thing except a lot smaller, a lot safer.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And look, you can see the blade on here. That other blade was massive.
Not really necessary for what we're doing anymore. So.
Yeah. Very cool.
Log is back in the corner over there, you know, kind of by the files and stuff like that. So I'll dig it back there. Excellent. All right, maybe it's kind of interesting, the dust collection system.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So all these machines are hooked up to this dust system, and everything gets sucked up through all these pipes up here. And it gets deposited in these boxed-in trailers that first they have a bunch of horses and mules, and they use it for bedding. Yeah, that helps keep all our machines from getting clogged up with dust and
Pretty gnarly.
It's us from inhaling dust all day too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that runs, that's throughout the entire shop.
Yeah, it's hooked up to every machine.
Very cool. All right, so what do we have here, Charles? I see a big H carved into this.
Yeah, so it's a cypress log, and you know, back in the day when the loggers were pulling the logs out of the swamp, they would mark the logs with just like something recognizable, so they know that it was theirs. Because sometimes the logs were lost, in storms, or it was just a way to identify that that those were your logs. And we have a family friend of ours that was pulling some logs out of the Middle Bayou area, and he found this log with the H on it. And he was like, I wonder if that's the Hayden's, one of the Hayden's logs from when they're doing they're milling cypress logs out of here. So my dad's cousin was like, I remember that H being on the logs, when I used to see him bring them into Bayou St. John. That's the H, So there's a good chance that was a Hayden log. It's good.
So, and you said they were in Middle Bayou. This was in the Manchac area, right?
Right. And so that's just the bayou that feeds back into Lake Pontchartrain.
So these guys are out there they're pulling logs. They're trying to pull cypress out, and then they find this H log. Yeah. That's cool, man. Do we have any idea on how old this log might be?
I mean, it's somewhere from 1920s to probably later than that. It's probably when we were on Bayou St. John, I'm guessing. So probably 40s maybe.
Yeah.
And late 30s.
And what happened? You think they
50s maybe even that late?
Because maybe it sunk down and just they couldn't retrieve it, or
yeah, a lot of times when they would build the rafts in a storm, they would fall apart. And actually, this one. And so this was the end of the raft, and they had these things called log dogs. And you put the log dog, and it was like basically a metal dowel that you stuck into here with a chain, and then you pull that chain across to the other end, of the raft, and that's kind of what tied it all together. And so this was the end.
So this was definitely a raft log.
A raft log, yeah. Maybe this one was more of a sacrificial piece too, that they were just kind of like, whatever, just to hold the raft together.
Really
and so
cool.
and we've got a set of log dogs around here somewhere, and it fits right in that hole too.
That's cool.
So
definitely your log.
Yeah.
And
they said, it could have been later too, just because we were, I think we were still bringing logs up the bayou because it was still navigable into, I want to say the late 50s maybe, even early 60s, because they slowly started building bridges across Bayou St. John. They built the Dumaine Street Bridge. And then that bridge at Desay, which was basically right before the lumberyard. And so even when a lot of the businesses, at the end of the bayou, it kind of closed down because, they bridged everything off. We were still bringing logs up there until I think the late 50s, until they put some bridges farther up the bayou, and you just couldn't get,
Very cool.
couldn't get boats through there anymore. So
yeah, right on, man. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video of Riverside Lumber. I want to thank the Haydens for allowing me the opportunity to share their rich history and how they got started in the lumber industry. Hope you enjoy. Like and subscribe. Thank you.